President, please be seated. The court is back in session, and the floor is given to the defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chia to resume his questioning. If you still have further questions to put to this witness, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning again, Mr. Witness. Before the break, we were speaking about the invasion, two invasions rather, of Vietnamese troops. You have been in the army yourself, so you know, I presume, what battle or armed conflict means. Have you ever heard in the last year of Democratic Kampuchea, 1978, about massive fighting in Svay Rieng between Vietnamese troops and troops of Democratic Kampuchea?
Answer. I have never heard of that matter since I was working in my location, that is Sompo Mountain. I have never heard of the massive attack.
That's no problem, Mr. Witness. Just to be sure, is it correct when I say that the question from Takrak to you about whether there were any Vietnamese in the battalion was posed by Takrak after Tacham disappeared?
The court came to ask me whether or not there were Vietnamese within my unit. I replied that there were only Chinese, no Vietnamese in my unit.
I understand that, Mr. Witness, but let me ask it differently. When Takrak asked you that question, had Tacham already disappeared?
Answer. Tacham had already disappeared, and after his disappearance, Tacheng came to replace him.
My question is, would you be able to recollect how many months or weeks after Tacham's disappearance did Takrak come to you and ask that question about Vietnamese?
Answer. Since his disappearance, Takrak came to ask me about the Vietnamese for the second time. And actually, Takrak asked me for the second time about Vietnamese before the disappearance of Takrak. I cannot tell you the exact year when that happened.
I understand, Mr. Witness. It's a very difficult question. Let me move on to another topic. It's a word that you also just before the morning break used, the word rebellion. But also in your WRI you use on 3 occasions words to the effect that there were people rebelling against the revolution, that rebel groups were created, and that there was a rebel movement in your district. When you speak about that, what does that mean? Who was rebelling and why?
Answer. Regarding the rebellion took place because people said that there was oppression by Khmer Rouge. The rebellion became known to the Khmer Rouge, and consequently battalions and other units were called into the meeting to try to search for those who created rebellion.
Do you recall anything about Northwest Zone forces or cadres raising arms or collecting arms to start a rebellion?
Answer. I have not known about that matter. I cannot recall it. It happened a long time ago, so I am forgetful and I cannot recall it.
I understand. Have you ever heard whether Tacham or Tanim, also known as Mul Sambat, were part of the rebellion against the Khmer Rouge?
Answer. I do not know about that matter.
I have only two small questions left, Mr. Witness. One is the following. That is something some other witness told the investigators. Mr. President, that is E3/7737. I found it. It's ERN English 002746160, Khmer 001978883, and French 002261556. This witness is asked questions about Vietnamese, and he's talking about a person called Ye Nei, and he is saying that this woman was a Yun who had been nationalized. And then he says, quote, subsequently they released her, unquote. Do you know anything about people of Vietnamese ethnicity who had been nationalized or who had become Khmer, that they would be released? Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Answer. No, I have never heard of it. Mr. President, allow me to make a clarification. In the Khmer version of the document quoted by the Defense Counsel, I heard the name was pronounced Ye Nai, but in fact it was Now. This name was brought up by Judge Lavange before. It was Ye Na, not Nai.
Thank you, civil party lawyer. The question wasn't about the woman, but whether the witness knows whether there was any different treatment between people of Vietnamese ethnicity who had or had not been quote-unquote nationalized. But you don't know anything about that, is that correct?
Answer: no, I do not know about that. I have never known the person by the name Nai or Nao.
My very last question, Mr. Witness. In your WRI, you speak about someone who was a singer from Phnom Penh, someone with the name of Tet Sambat. Do you remember talking about him?
Answer: yes, I do. I know the person by the name Tet Sambat. His arms were tied behind his back, and he was walked away. Since then, he disappeared. We, in fact, used to be working together in field in Dong Cao. He was walked away. Since then, he disappeared. This is all what I know about him.
Do you know, it's my very last question, whether he had a son who is now a journalist working in Phnom Penh?
Answer: no, I do not know his son.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President, thank you. Now I pass the floor to the defense team for Mr. Kieu Sompon to put questions to this witness. You have the floor now.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, and good morning, Mr. Prum Sarun. My name is Anta Gise. I am International Co-Counsel for Mr. Kieu Sampan, and in this capacity, I'll put some very brief questions to you. My first question is related to the two battalions you referred to. You stated that you were a member of Battalion Number 1, and that there was another battalion, Battalion Number 2. If I did understand correctly, you did not have the opportunity to talk to members of Battalion Number 2. But did you know who the commander of that second battalion was? If you do, please give us the name of that person.
Taji was the chief of Battalion Number 2.
Je voudrais maintenant m'intéresser à ta...
I would like us to talk about Tak Tak or Takrach. You did say that he was the commander of your battalion. Do you know where he hailed from?
Takrach.
Answer: Takrach birthplace was located in Phnom Penh. Takrach was shot to death. And Ta Che also got bullets wounds.
Je m'intéresse...
I am still interested in Takrach. Can you tell us the names of Takrach's direct subordinates?
Answer. There was the Grudge, and there was another person by the name Bươn. They are all deceased.
Et Taboun,
And did you work closely or directly with Tabun or Bun?
Answer. He was within another battalion. I was tasked with transplanting and harvesting rice.
vous dites que
You say that Bun was a member of another battalion. Do I take it then that Takrach was in charge of several different battalions in addition to battalion number 1?
Answer. Takrach was in charge of battalion number 1, and Bươn was under different battalion. And perhaps Bươn was also in charge of another battalion.
D'accord, donc quand je vous ai posé la question de ça,
Very well. I asked you who the direct subordinates of Crutch. As a matter of fact, Tabun was not a subordinate of Takrach. He was rather someone who was of the same rank or level as Takrach. Isn't that correct?
Answer. Yes, that is correct.
donc ma question était différente. Je voudrais
So my question was different. I wanted to know whether you recall or not, and if you don't remember, that's not important. Who were the people working under Takrach, apart from yourself?
Answer. It was Ta Hong, the deputy chief. Ta Hong was the deputy chief below Ta Kroch. As I said, they were all died. They were all deceased.
Et Tahong est celui que
And Tahun, the person you said was your direct superior, is that the case, that he was your direct superior?
Answer. Yes, that is the case.
je voudrais maintenant m'intéresser
I would like us to once more talk of Tachan. Did you often see him during the period of democratic Kampuchea before he disappeared?
I only saw his face, and I did not dare go close to Tacham. He was a kind of cruel person. Whenever he assigned me to build a dam, I would perform the task. I did not dare go close to him.
précisément
Specifically, as regards Tacham's character, some other persons have talked about his character. I would like to know whether you knew the person called Unsong, and for interpreters to avoid pronunciation problems, is written as follows: U-N-S-O-E-U-N. Do you know any persons who at any point in time were in charge of the unit and who were from Phnom Sampel commune?
Answer, I have never known the person by the name Sum.
Est-ce que vous avez entendu parler du mouvement?
Did you hear of the Isarak movement?
Answer, I forget almost everything about the movement of Khmer Isara. It happened a long time ago, and I cannot describe the movement.
Il n'y a pas de souci.
No problem with that. Does the name Tayat ring a bell?
YAT pour les interprètes.
It is spelled as follows, Y-A-T, for the interpreters.
Answer, Tayat. I have never heard of that name.
Je voudrais voir si
I would like to know whether the statement of a witness may refresh your memory as regards the Isarak movement, and as far as Tayat is concerned, and the document is E3/5182, and the witness in question refers to the arrest of Tayat. And this is what he states. The ERN in French is 00223092, and the ERN in Khmer is 00197935. ERN in English 00274149. And this is what that witness states. Free translation. I heard from Tayat that at the time of the Isarak movement, there had been a conflict with Ta Cham. In my view, the reaction of Ta Cham was related to personal scores and not any matters related to the Khmer Rouge. End of quote. In that extract, the witness talks of the arrest of Tayat. Does that extract refresh your memory? And do you recall hearing of the arrest of a person by the name Tayat and that person's involvement in the Isarak movement? Does that ring a bell to you?
It does not ring a bell to me. I have never known the person by the name Tayat, as I said. I do not know which Tayat you are referring to.
Je n'insiste pas, il n'y a pas de problème.
I will not insist. There's no problem with that. Generally speaking, you refer to the character of Tacham and his cruelty. Do you know whether he ever took any decisions based on personal interests as opposed to other reasons? And did you hear about that while you were working with him, or did you hear his superiors or any other persons refer to that?
No. I never approached him. I did not dare look at his face directly.
J'ai bien compris que
I very well understand that you were afraid of Tacham, but my question to you is as follows. Was such fear based on conversations you had with others or with him regarding the way he worked, And more generally speaking, since you referred to his cruelty, did you have any particular reasons to fear his reactions, generally speaking?
Answer: I heard that he had killed several or many people. For this reason, I did not dare look at his face directly or even walk past his house. I did not dare talk to him.
Et par qui?
And who had relayed those statements to you? Who told you about the deaths that stemmed from decisions taken by Tacham?
Answer: it was a rumor from one another, and as I said, I did not dare look at his face directly and approach him. I would only focus on my work at the dam site.
Je vous remercie, je n'ai pas d'autres.
Thank you. I have no further questions for the witness, Mr. President.
President, thank you, Mr. Prom Sarun. The hearing of your testimony as a witness has come to a conclusion now, and your testimony will contribute to the truth in this case. You may be excused and return to any destination or any places you wish to go. I wish you good health, good luck, and prosperity in your life. Court officer, please work with the vessel unit to send Mr. Sarun back to his residence or to any destination he wishes to go. And you are also instructed to invite to CCW 949 into the witness stand before the chamber.
President, good morning. Mr. Witness, what is your name? And please observe the microphone. You should speak only after you see the red light lit on the tip of the microphone. And also it means that this will give you a pause to think what to respond to the question. Again, what is your name? Answer. When I was in a Songboy commune, President interrupts. Witness, please listen to the question carefully and respond to the limit of the question. Again, what is your name? You need to wait until you see the red light on the tip of the microphone so that your voice will go through the interpretation system and through the audience. Your response needs to be interpreted into English and French simultaneously. Again, what is your name? Witness. My name is Sun. President, thank you, Mr. Sun. And when were you born? Answer, no, I do not remember it. Question, how old are you? Answer, I am 64 years old. Question, and where is your current address? Answer, I lived in Sakda village, Trapang Risai, Bang Milikia commune, Svai Le district, Siem Reap province. Question, and what is your current occupation? Answer, I am a rice farmer. Question, what are the names of your parents? Answer, my father is Lim E and my mother is Pain. Question, what is the name of your wife and how many children do you have together? Answer, we have 10 children and my wife is San Suan. And as I said, we have 10 children. President, thank you, Mr. Sun. The greffier made an oral report this morning that you are not related by blood or by law to any of the two accused, that is Nguyen Chi and Khieu Sampon, or through any of the civil parties admitted in this case. Is that information accurate? Answer, I am not related to any of them. President, thank you. And before your appearance, have you taken an oath before the Iron Club statue? Answer, yes, I have taken an oath before the Iron Club statue to be faithful, and I will tell only what I heard and saw. President, thank you, Mr. Sun. The Chamber now would like to inform you of your rights and obligations as a witness. Your rights as a witness in the proceedings before the Chamber You may refuse to respond to any question or to make any comment which may incriminate you. That is your right against self-incrimination. Your obligations as a witness in the proceedings before the chamber, you must respond to any questions by the bench or relevant parties, except where your response or comments to those questions may incriminate you, as the chamber has just informed you of your rights as a witness. You must tell the truth that you have known, heard, seen, remembered, experienced or observed directly about an event or occurrence relevant to the questions that a bench or parties pose to you. And Mr. Sun, have you provided an interview, if any, to the investigator of the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges? If so, how many times, when, and where? Answer: no, I haven't. I was not interviewed. President, there is a document which is a written record of your interview that it happened in October in the year 2008 at Trapang Risai village, Bang Mili commune, Svai Le district. Do you recall that? Answer: yes, I recall it. Yes, I was interviewed that year. Yes, I recall that I was interviewed once. President, and before you appear before the chamber, have you reviewed, read, or have it read aloud to you? That is the written record of your interview you provided to the investigators at your house in order to refresh your memory. Answer: I remember parts of the interview, although I remember most of the interview content. Question: my question to you is that during the past few days, or even yesterday or this morning, have you read, reviewed, or have it read aloud to you? That is your written record of interview. Answer: yes, I have read it and I remember the part of the record. Question: and to your best recollection, is the written record of your interview consistent with what you told the investigators in 2008 at your village? Answer: President interrupts. In fact, please respond to my question whether the written record of your interview consistent with what you told the investigators at the time. Answer: after I read it, yes, it is consistent with what I told them. President, thank you. And pursuant to 91 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber will give the floor first to the co-prosecutors to question this witness, and the combined time for the co-prosecutors and lead co-lawyers is 2 sessions. You may proceed.
Bonjour, Monsieur.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to all parties. Witness, my name is Vincent de Wild, and I'm going to therefore put questions to you this morning and as well as this afternoon in particular regarding the events that took place at the Ksa Pagoda. If you do not understand one of my questions, please say so and I will be able to rephrase it. Also, please do not add things, just simply tell us what you know. If you do not know something, simply tell us that you do not know. So, first of all, after April 1975, can you tell us which unit you were assigned to during the DK regime?
I was in a mobile unit in the village, but not at a community. I worked in the rice field at the time. As for the economic sections, they dealt with the economics.
And in which village, in which commune, and which district this mobile unit was working?
It was in Jiang village, Songvai commune.
Thank you. You also said, or you spoke about Chikreng commune. I heard this in the Khmer, but I did not hear this in the French. How old were you in 1975? Today you said that you are 64 years old. Therefore, in 1975, when you started working in this mobile unit, how old were you approximately?
I was about 28 years old.
Est-ce que vous savez
Do you know in which sector Chikreng district was located back then?
No, I do not know which sector it belonged to, although I know that it was in Chikrang district, Siem Reap province, and the village was Jiang, and the commune was Songvai.
très bien.
Fine. When you were in Green, in this village, can you tell us where you would sleep with your mobile unit?
No, there was no mobile unit in the commune. However, there was at the cooperative. I was an ordinary villager in the cooperative in Jiang village.
D'accord.
Fine. Did you ever sleep in the Ksa Pagoda in this village of Ying?
Witness, please observe the microphone, says the President. Because the village that I lived in was next to Ksache Pagoda, it was about 150 meters from the pagoda. However, the area was commonly known as Jiang village, located in Songvai commune, Chikrang district, Siem Reap province.
À quoi sert
What was the purpose of this pagoda, the Ksa Pagoda, between 75 and 79? Were there still monks there, or did they still hold the religious ceremonies at the pagoda?
No, there was none. there were no monks because the temples were dismantled, and the pagoda was used to raise the animals or to pound rice. The temple structure remained there. However, the temples, the residence, and the Buddha statues were all destroyed. That year, the main temple was dismantled and most of the structures in the pagoda were destroyed. And only some skeleton structure of monk resident remained.
Merci, je vais
Thank you. I will get back to the location of this pagoda a little later on. I'm going to ask you simply to answer precisely the questions I'm going to put to you now. In your cooperative unit, did you ever know a so named Sung or Sin Sung back then?
Sin Sung, yes, I know Sin Sung. He and I sneaked a look at the event of execution which was unfolding before our eyes. President interrupts. Mr. Witness, please limit your response to the fact that whether you know this person, Sin Sung, yes or no, that is sufficient.
Oui, c'est exactement ça. Je vais revenir.
Yes, that's exactly that. I will get back to the execution, so please don't worry about that. So did Sing Sung work in the same unit as you, and can you tell us how old he was approximately in 1975?
He was younger than me. I reached my adolescent already, however he was younger than me.
Vous aviez dit que vous êtes...
You told us that you were 28 years old in 1975, and now you said that you were an adolescent. So were you already an adult since you were 28 years old, as you just told us?
Yes, I was more mature and older than Sin Sung.
Malgré la...
Despite the difference in age, were you friends with each other?
Yes, we were friends. I went everywhere with him, including working together with him.
So I have questions that do not yet relate to what happened at the Ksa Pagoda and the executions you spoke about, but these are questions that relate to the presence or not of people of Vietnamese origin in your region. And did new people settle, first of all, in the villages of Sang Vo commune after 17 April 1975?
Yes, there were new people in the area at that time. There were some of them, including Takot and Chantha.
We will get back to these people, but were there also people
of Vietnamese origin who were among these people who settled in Xuân Voi commune?
Oh.
Yes, there were Vietnamese living in the area. There was a Vietnamese family belongs to Takut and Ye Ma, and they had a granddaughter named Chantha, and they all had been taken away and killed at Ksaja Pagoda, and their gallbladders were removed.
Fine. You are going faster than my questions. Aside from that family, were there other Vietnamese whom you knew in this village or in other villages in Xuân Voi commune?
I did not know any other families besides the two families that I mentioned.
You also spoke about the family of Takut and of Ye Ma and of their grandchild Ye Tacha. And how did you know that this was a family of Vietnamese origin?
I knew it because the elders in the village all knew that they were Vietnamese. Everybody knew that they were Vietnamese because they had lived there several years. That is since the former regimes.
Interpreter correction, the grandchild was Chanta. So this family was not part of the people who had been evacuated in 1975 to settle in a village, so that family therefore had been there before 1975. Is that what I must understand?
Yes, that is correct. They lived there much longer before 1975, and later on they were arrested and executed. I mean, all of them. It was pity that they were killed. They had lived in Cambodia for a very long time. And I did not know why they were arrested and killed. President interrupts. Mr. Witness, allow me to remind you again. Please limit your response to the extent of the question. There will be plenty more questions to be put to you, and you will be sitting here for the rest of today's proceeding and possibly half a day tomorrow. So you may even get tired just to limit your response to what will be put to you. For that reason, please only make a necessary response to the question and not more than that.
Merci. Vous aviez...
Thank you. You said earlier that everyone knew that this was a Vietnamese family. Did Kut and Ma, the grandparents, therefore, speak Khmer with a Vietnamese accent? Were you able to speak to them?
They spoke my language rather clearly since they lived in Cambodia for so long. Since I grew up, I began to know them, and they were good people. They never caused any trouble with the villagers in a village and a commune. They were kind, and that's from my personal experience since I saw them since I grew up there.
You're speaking about your childhood. Had you been in contact with them since your childhood, or did you grow up in another village in Sang Voi commune?
They lived in Ksat village. However, that Ksat village was also known as a Jiang village because they were next to the Ksat pagoda, and there was also a Vietnamese temple not far from the Ksat pagoda. However, later on it disappeared. There were a structure remained on a hill, but the Vietnamese temple was gone. I lived in Bang Melia commune for several years.
So you're speaking about a Vietnamese temple. So if there was a Vietnamese temple, does that mean that there were many Vietnamese people who had settled in the region and who would go to that temple before 1975?
Yes. There were quite a number of Vietnamese families living there at that time. However, later on, I only saw the family of Takut and Yima together with their granddaughter Chan Tha. And that's what I actually saw.
Qu'est-il arrivé?
So what happened to these many Vietnamese families? Did you ever hear after 1975 that these families had been forced to leave Cambodia?
I only heard people talking about that, but I did not know whether they all had gone. The only thing I witnessed is that I only saw a family remaining, that is the family of Takut and Yema together with their granddaughter Chan Tha. As the rest, they all had gone.
Est-ce que durant le...
During the Democratic Kampuchea regime in 1977 and 1978, did you know whether the village chief or the commune chief tried to identify persons who are of Vietnamese origin in the region?
I was in the mobile unit, so I did not know what happened on the ground in the village. I was also assigned to cut the tree leaves to make fertilizer. So I was constantly on mobile and I had to focus on the work because I did not dare to make any mistake, as I was afraid I would be taken away and killed. President, thank you, Council. And I notice Council Copper is on his floor. You may proceed, Council.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we break, I have a request in relation to this particular witness. And I was hoping whether you could instruct Wei Su to provide parties with a copy of his identification papers, his ID. I'm asking because in his WRI it stated that he was born on the 9th of January 1958. Later, when we will be examining this witness, his age and also his ability to calculate will be an issue. He just said that he was 64 now, which would make him being born in 1951 rather than 58. He also just said that he was 28 in 1975, which would make him being born in 1947. Apparently the investigators written down the specific date of 9th of January 58, so I think it would be beneficial to all parties to see a copy of his identification.
Do you have your ID on you now?
Yes, I do. I have it with me. I cannot recall everything.
We'll ask you to provide it after the break. Ensure that you have it on you.
President, thank you. And Councillor Copper, I think your request is now solved. We have a lunch break and resumed at 1:30 this afternoon. Court officer, please assist the witness at the waiting room reserved for witnesses and civil parties during the lunch break, and invite him back into the courtroom at 1:30. Security personnel, you are instructed to take Kyusumpon to the waiting room downstairs and have him returned to attend the proceeding this afternoon before 1:30. The court is now in recess.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ